probably one of the greatest compliment I ever got. I was playing with the Rangers, and I got cut. I went to the bench. They stitched me up, and my eyebrow was over my eye. And I finished the game, and then we ended up losing in a semifinal. And I was at the bar after, and Marc Messier was one of the greatest leaders in our game. I was always kind of timid around him because I had so much respect. He looked at me. He goes, "I'd take you on my team anytime."
Yo, welcome to another episode of In a Minute with Evan Lovett, coming to you live from the I Am Studios here in the heart of Los Angeles. And today we have a man that you may call Cool Hand Luc, Lucky, or maybe just Luke. If you're a Kings fan or an LA sports fan, you know about NHL Hall of Famer Luc Robitaille, LA Kings president of the LA Kings, right here in studio. Mr. Robitaille, thank you for being here. Really appreciate you coming today.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much. I got to say real quick, sponsor for today's episode, Arto Brick, manufacturing tile and brick, rehabilitating and renovating historic landmarks in Los Angeles, Olvera Street, Mariachi Plaza, USC, all over LA, from right there in Gardena. Thank you, Arto Brick. Beautiful tile. My wife's an interior designer. She was so amazed when they were the sponsor for the show. So check out Arto Brick. But more importantly, check out Mr. Luc Robitaille here in studio. I am truly honored. And I have a personal memory of Luc Robitaille growing up. I grew up in the San Fernando Valley. And hockey initially growing up was a little bit, I was a baseball, football, basketball guy, but we always knew the Kings, and the Kings would make some moves. They had the Triple Crown line, the purple and gold. They were the originators of the fabulous forum. Jack Kent Cooke is the reason why the Lakers are purple and gold, because of the Kings, first and foremost. But the Isoplex opened in North Hills, which was back then Sepulveda, kind of on the border with, I guess, Van Nuys, or what you call Lake Balboa. But the Isoplex, we were always told, was owned by Luc Robitaille. Let me start with that, because that is my memory when hockey was really getting big in LA in the Valley. It was the Isoplex that ushered in that era. Talk to me.
That's funny. My ownership, it's true, but it was very, very small. I'll tell you exactly how it started. So back in the late 80s, I started doing clinics. This guy called me and said, "Hey, would you do some clinics just coming in to help some kids and actually some adult hockey clinics?" So over the summer, I would do as a favor, and I would go, and it would give me a chance to skate too and know some people. And then over time, that kept growing. So their leagues got bigger. So the same guy, which actually works with us now, said, "Hey, now that I got so many players in my league, I think I could build a rink." So there's not much I could do, but it came to me. And then this kind of financier guy put a deal together to lease the building in the Valley. And then I think I had $25,000 into it, and I owned the Zamboni though. So I would he taught me what leasing was. So I bought the Zamboni and I leased it back to the business. So those were the two. I think I had $25,000, which was probably 1% of the business, and the Zamboni, part of the rink.
Let me ask you something. Do you know where the Zamboni was invented?
Yeah, oh yeah, we bought the rink for Mr. Zamboni in Paramount.
Yes.
Yeah, and I've seen like the plant and everything. It's fascinating.
Zamboni, which if you don't know, which you probably do, but that's the thing that like smooths out the ice in between periods and all that, came from Los Angeles.
Yeah, right here in Paramount City. The original Zamboni is still in that rink.
That's cool.
Fascinating.
Now that I got to see with my own eyes. I did an episode on that. But in the land of sunshine, one of the biggest, most impactful things for the ice came from Los Angeles. So in that same era, this was the early 90s, just to put a date frame around it. This is when hockey was really starting to gain a true foothold in LA. Now, there were always diehard Kings fans. Yeah. Kings, I used to joke, and I'm just being honest, when I was growing up, I said, there are 20,000 Kings fans in LA, but they all go to every game and they are diehard fans. But hockey started to blossom and hockey started to expand. Bruce McNall, Robitaille, Wayne Gretzky coming over, Yari Curry, Kelly Rudy. I mean, like the Kings started to really develop and the media was changing, but it became a thing. Like again, and I always put the Isoplex as sort of like the marker in time for me. But kids were rollerblading, playing street hockey. Yeah. So you were here during what I call the hockey renaissance in LA. Mm-hmm. Now, do you remember that period? Did you notice that? What was that like for you?
It's funny you said it. When you say 20,000 hockey fan, I'm like, I clearly remember my first 2 years in LA and thinking or talking to people back in Canada. So, LA's pretty good. There's 16,005 seats at the Forum. I remember because they would announce a sellout, 16,005 for the Kings game. And we would not sell out before Christmas. But after Christmas, my first 2 years, we'd sell out almost every game. Yep. So I'm like, I thought, there was a small amount of fans, but they were very passionate about the Kings. And then obviously, Wayne coming changed everything. Right. I mean, it's suddenly like people that were not aware of hockey heard of Gretzky, this name, and they want to see what this was all about. So suddenly it seemed, and at the same time, the Lakers were on a little bit of a drop for maybe 2-3 years. Yeah. So I think it made it the Magic Kings Johnson became very, very popular. But as far as roller skating, I remember a few Canadians, like we went to Santa Monica in like 1987 in the summer, turned the garbage cans aside in a parking lot in Santa Monica, started playing roller hockey. And to this day, every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, they still play roller hockey there.
There you go. See,
I think they'd kick me out there if I go because they're so good now.
It really is a culture. Right. And I have some diehard Kings fan friends. And whether you're talking Dodgers, Lakers, USC football, the powerhouse teams in Los Angeles, the Kings have a rabid fan base. Now, I want you to speak as president of the Kings. How do you keep that momentum going? And how do you see that growing? Like, and tell us just about your role as president.
Well, before I go about the role, I think for us, we understand in our city is that there's about 2 to 2.5 million hockey fans. Okay. And part of it, like most of them are Kings fans. So we always try to make sure they understand what we're doing and they know the direction we're going, whether we do a rebuild or when we're trying to talk to them, because they're our best marketers. They're the ones that are going to say, I know you don't know the King, but they did this, and they're going to be really good this year. So that really helps us from that standpoint for us to make sure we stay focused on that. Now, when we win, like we won in 2012-14, suddenly it can go to 5-6 million people that suddenly become Kings fans and so forth. But, United States is a little bit different. Like NLA is totally different. I mean, the Dodgers are very popular, but the Dodgers have been in the playoffs 12 years in a row. Yeah. I mean, it's so hard to do what they're doing.
My son hasn't been alive in a year that the Dodgers have missed the playoffs.
It's normal. They think it's normal, Yeah. I always think that in this city, it seems like there's one team that's totally bulletproof. Yeah. It's the Lakers. Yeah. Like no matter what, it seems like the Lakers bring some type of attention. Right. I do believe the Dodgers need to be successful to get to that next level. Now, they've been in it, so it's very normal for us. The Dodgers are so popular, and they get the best players, the number one payroll, and so forth. Yeah. But it just seemed like the Lakers have always, since the late 70s, they've been that one team that's consistently there's a buzz about them.
I think that Showtime cachet really gets, and Jeannie Buss does a great job. Yeah. Magic being a superb ambassador, all that kind of stuff. But give me your role as president now, and we're going to get into your playing days. But I actually want to know, what is the president of the Los Angeles
president?
Kings do?
Well, we as a group, I think for us, what makes our organization different or special is we all work as a group. Obviously, there's the hockey upside is one way where, every district has to make, and let's face it, that's the most important part. You got to win games, you got to acquire players, sign players, and so we go through a lot of that. And the way I try to do a little bit of my time is in the morning, I spend a lot of time with hockey ops, and then late morning to the afternoon, we try to be with our business side. And our business side, we always try to follow the trend of our hockey team, because if you're trying to market your team and you're not saying the same message that's being said in the locker room, you're not like the organization is going to be disjointed.
You have to have that cohesive messaging and direction, 100%. Any organization.
To really listen to what's coming from our hockey ops and so forth. I mean, obviously for us, we went on a rebuild.
Yeah.
And it's never a good thing, especially in LA. If you see rebuild, you're basically telling your friend, we're going to suck, bear with us.
Yeah.
And then we had to kind of rebuild, and now we're coming out of it, and it's been a good ride, and we could see like everything is trending up.
Coming out of it, one of the best years in Kings history this year, man. Like, as of the time of this filming, barely out of first place in the Pacific Division, but about to get over the 100-point barrier. And looking pretty primed for the playoffs, man. Let's get into this real quick. Byfield's having a great year. Kemper's having an outstanding year.
Yeah.
Give me the quick overview of the current LA Kings team.
Well, we like the way we've been the last few years on rebuilding, and then coming up this year. What's exciting about our organization right now is we still have, well, one of them is not playing, but 6 kids under 23. They're all producing. So in our game, really a player mature on 25, between 25 and 29. So we're really looking for the next few years. But that being said, because we have the right amount of veterans, we have a chance to win it all this year.
Yeah.
So it would be a great experience to win it all and having all these kids mature moving forward. So that's probably the most exciting thing about our team, like the Byfield and the Clark and Lefebvre and these kids that are coming up in our organization.
And with Kopitar on the other end, kind of
lead. He's a great leader to teach these kids and, move it, pay it forward for them. So it's been great from that standpoint. And, we're really looking forward for this year, but at the same time, the future.
That's pretty incredible because, again, the Kings, I got to talk about the experience. When you go to crypto.com, and again, listen, I'm going to just be honest. I'm a casual Kings fan. I'm not the guy that only tunes in when they're in the Stanley Cup.
We accept them all. We accept you.
Yeah. But I go to a couple games a year, and what blows my mind, more than a Dodger game, more than a Laker game, more than a USC football game, Angel City FC, LAFC, I've been to them all. Mm-hmm. When you're in crypto.com for a Kings game, it's like everybody is in gear. Everybody is intense. Everybody is focused. It is a unified where it's almost, I get the chills talking about it because listen, like LA is a fair weather sports town, right? Yeah. Let's just call it what it is.
It is.
But when you're in crypto for a Kings game, it's insane, and the intensity and the chants and the go Kings go, all that stuff. How did you build that culture? Because you've been the president for a while. You were a player since 87. What was your rookie?
87, yeah.
87. So that's a franchise cornerstone. So when you saw that grow, how did that build? How did that become the ethos of the Kings?
I would give credit over the years for our people who have done the game entertainment.
Yeah.
Because that's a big chunk of it. Obviously the players playing and the fans being part of it. But since 2008, 2009, we've really focused onto the game entertainment part of a game. Where we always say, what's on the ice is on the ice. You can't control that. That's the purity of the game. But anything around, let's make sure our fans have a great experience. Having chance, making sure we understand how they feel. They know what's going on. And over time, obviously winning helped. But it certainly has built like a certain culture of like, let's make sure we really support our team. And, this is LA. If you play a team in New York, a lot of Ranger fans will come in the sense. So our fans take a lot of pride into burying them, so which it makes it like a really fun event. Like you really see your fans. So we get a goal. They're going out and we were playing the Rangers a bunch of them, and they started chanting, "Let's go Ranger!" And our fan just went nuts, "Go Kings, go!" And and it makes it really fun to be part of that environment because it's more than the game itself because you're participating into doing stuff as a fan.
It's so much fun. And again, just the intensity, I think, is unlike any other sport. And again, no secret here. I'm a baseball guy, Dodgers, blah, 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 number one. But a Dodgers game is like, you're outdoors, you're having a dog, you're talking. And of course, Freeman hits a home run, some bets, all that kind of stuff. But the sustained intensity at a Kings game is unlike anything in Los Angeles, which is awesome. And that comes down to the hockey culture. And I want to talk about something. going back to my Isoplex days, and now you guys are building a new rink in Reseda, right? Mm-hmm. So it's about kind of uplifting that youth hockey culture, right? And it's not just for the youth, but that's like the core of where it grows. Talk to me about that, the importance of youth culture and building for the future in Los Angeles.
It's really important. It's something we've been really focused on. The number one priority was trying to make sure we don't let rink close out, because real estate, it is what it is in California. So to keep a rink is hard, and you don't want to overcharge because you only rent the ice per hour, so there's only so much revenue.
Right.
But we've tried to keep as many. We kept the one in Burbank open. We're helping with the city in Valencia.
Wow.
Over there. We're helping in Palos Verdes, and we took a run at the rink that was in Culver City. We weren't able to keep it open. We bought the one in Paramount that was Mr. Zamboni's rink just to make sure it would stay open. And now we have a chance to have this new rink in Reseda that the city's behind into council member Bob Blumenfield, who's literally talked to us in like 2014, I think, Kelly. And he's been pushing for this thing, and we're going to see it next November. So we're really excited about that, because anytime we have a chance to build a new rink, it's just going to bring more kids to play, and it gives us a chance to get more people to skate and so forth.
It's funny. I love it because, again, my son's a baseball player, soccer player, now a skateboarder as well. But he, more and more friends of his that we meet are also playing hockey. And it's so funny because when I was growing up, like, youth hockey meant you're rollerblading in the street.
That's right.
We'd set up our net. We have our rollerblades, all this stuff, break a couple windows and here and there. But no, like, hockey really is building. And it's because of the legacy that you built going back to your playing days, right? So let's establish this real quick. I mean, for those that may not know, Luc Robitaille's career bona fides, okay? When he retired, most goals of any left winger of all time, most points of any left winger of all time. Top 100 NHL player in the history of the game, NHL Hall of Famer, all of that from somebody who was considered too slow and not a good skater, as the scouting report.
That's what they said.
Drafted in the 9th round, and I want to put this in perspective, baseball Hall of Famer Tom Glavine, the pitcher for the Braves, was picked in the 4th round of the same draft, the same NHL draft.
By the Kings.
No way. I didn't even know.
The Kings.
I didn't even know it was. There you go.
Here's the irony of it. Tom Glavine told everyone, I will never play hockey.
Yeah.
The Kings still believed in him more than me to make the NHL. They still drafted him in the 4th round, saying, we know he said he'll never play, but we probably have a better chance with this guy than the other guy.
So how does that I mean, like, it blows my mind. How does that happen? Where did that reputation come from? Were you a slow skater?
I think my skating was always, I'm not slow, but I was like awkward, and and I didn't have like a good glide, but that was something
you
I
scored
worked on
goals.
every day.
Okay,
go. I remember when I was a kid, and I asked my dad, "Am I really slow?" He goes, and his answer to me was, "Well, I don't know, but I know when there's a loose puck, you get there first." I'm like, "Oh, okay," and but I think because that's the way things were, and I was ranked that way, it seemed like that was always what's
reputation.
And really, there was only one man. Because my junior team, when I got the year I got drafted, there was only really one. I believe there was only one scout that paid attention to me. We had a bad team that year. Mario Lemieux ended up being the first of all. Would play in another city, and every scout was always there. So most scouts didn't attend our games.
Yeah.
And one scout from LA was an older man, and his name was Alex Smart, and he was the one guy that talked to me all year. No one else ever talked to me. Nothing. And to this, I know that was him that just said, we got to draft this kid. It was interesting.
How good were you at the youth level before?
I was good. Every team I was good. Every team I was led. My team in scoring, we won championship. But I was always the kid that started like on the lower line, then finish up there because of my skating. So they would say, I don't know. And then I probably outwill some
But you
players
got a
and so
nose
forth.
for the puck. You score goals. You have the will. And I mean, again, the career speaks for itself. You grew up in Montreal.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And as a youth in Montreal, what did you know about Los Angeles? Or what did you think about Los Angeles?
I
If
knew
you did.
nothing.
Okay.
Absolutely
Okay.
nothing. I mean, we'd watch some movies, and we would see the award shows, and we'd see like the Hollywood sign. We'd heard about the beach, and this would have been like a dream. Like, I remember till I was 13, we never took a flight. So, and I clearly remember when I got drafted and I was at home with my brother and we look on a map where LA was. It seemed so far.
It is.
I was
It
like,
is.
oh my goodness, it's really far. So I knew absolutely nothing. And I do recall the first time when I made the team and we had to take a flight because we used to have training camp in Victoria, in British Columbia, in Canada. Then we had a bunch of preseason games like in Winnipeg, in Calgary, in Vancouver. And then late that night I think it was after a game, we flew back to LA.
Yeah.
And I remember landing, and if you don't know LA and you've never been in LA,
Right.
I remember when the player said, here we are. And then it's unlimited mileage of lights,
Yeah.
and I remember looking out the window, it can't be. It's so big because the minute you pass the mountain and then Big Bear, it's lights forever. So I was like, I couldn't grasp because I was looking for downtown. But I was looking left on the plane. It was you're coming down, so I never saw any high-rise building. I was like, well, that's LA. Like that didn't make sense. And I remember landing, and it was cool, but I was expecting it to be like, I don't know, 100 degrees because where you're from Canada, you think LA is always hot.
And you think a beach over here, the mountains are here right next to each other. Okay, so then you get drafted. You have your minor league hockey days, and then you get to LA. You get to the big show, the Kings. What was that experience like? First playing for NHL hockey, first and foremost. That was the dream, right?
That was the dream, the ultimate dream.
Do you remember your first game?
Oh, like it was yesterday.
What was it like?
Well, right before my first game. So when I landed,
Yeah.
there were three rookies that we were going to make the team. We still didn't know. We were a week away from the beginning of the season. It was Jimmy Carson, myself, and Steve Duchesne.
Hey, okay.
And the Kings in those days would get a hotel. The hotel was called Airport Park Hotel. Okay. And where the Forum was, right on the corner between Hollywood Park, it was the racetrack. There was a building there, like a small building.
Hollywood
maybe
Park now, SoFi, by the way.
6, 7, yeah. And we stayed in that hotel, and I clearly remember one veteran player said, "You guys are going to Airport Park?" I go, "Yeah." He said, "Okay, don't go out at night." Because we didn't know. We're from Canada. We wouldn't have known, but this was right in the central Inglewood, 1986.
Yeah, different era.
And I remember
different era.
we're just so happy to be there. We didn't go outside, and it was a dirty hotel. It wasn't really nice. The food was terrible. So after 2 days, we had, I think the next day we had a preseason game. Marcel Dion went to the general manager, Rogie Vachon. He said, "Hey, are these kids gonna stay?" And I think Rogie said we would start the year not knowing where we would end up.
Yeah.
He said, "Okay, I'm going to take him with me." So Marcel, he took the three of us, and I stayed at Marcel's house, which was in Palos Verdes. Jimmy Carson stayed 2 houses down the street, and Steve Duchesne stayed about a mile away. Marcel had 2 friends that they took on, Steve and Jimmy, and I stayed with Marcel. And what Marcel wanted me to do is teach his kids to speak French. As it turned out, they taught me how to speak English.
Right.
Didn't teach them much as French. So that's kind of how it started. We were at the Airport Park for like 2.5 days, and then next thing you know, we were in Palos Verdes. That wasn't bad.
That's a pretty good upgrade right there. So what was that first game like?
Oh, first game. Sorry. So my first game. So they had Jimmy Carson play with Dave Taylor. Those were the veteran, and me with Marcel Dion. So we started the game, and I was like so excited when I stepped on the ice, and you saw the old Forum with the bars holding the scoreboard. There's something very special about the Forum.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting on the bench. We weren't in the starting lineup, and then the second line goes on the ice, and then the third line I thought was going to be our call, and the coach, the way it works in hockey, names the next line. He names Bernie Nichols' line that was the line that started. Maybe to match up with the other team. And I was sitting on a bench and my legs were shaking. And I remember Marcel Dion, he grabbed my leg. He goes, "Hold on, kids, we're gonna get our turn." Okay, so then the way it works in hockey, there's a right wing, the center, and the left wing. Yep. So because we were going that way, the left wing was on the side of the bench. The right wing changed, the center changed, Marcel went, and my right wing went on, and my left winger dumped the puck in and turned around to come to me. So the minute I saw him turn around, I cheated. Usually you're supposed to change in those days 10 feet from it was probably 20 feet. I just jumped on. I was so excited. And the goalie, when he dumped in, went behind the net and went to play the puck along the wall. And I saw he missed his shot. And I see Marcel Dion's going to go pick up the puck. And it felt like I floated all the way to the front of the net. There was no goalie. So I yelled in French, "Marcel!" That's how you would say his name. And he looked up, he saw me. I was in front of the net. The net was empty. I just tipped it in the empty net. That was literally took 4 seconds and I scored.
Come on. And that set the tone for your career, man. So what did it feel like being a dominating NHL player? Truthfully, what is that like?
It never felt like I was dominating because it was always about, if I played a game, when you're a professional athlete, it's always the moment.
Yeah.
So today's game matter than tomorrow's game. So for me, if I had a good game, I still would review the things I miss, and I would try to get better, ready for the next one. So, and there was always an insecurity of me too, I think, to never lose my job.
Right.
So that's why a lot of athletes play hurt and so forth, because they know another guy could come in and take their spot. So I don't think I ever thought I'm dominant. I think later in my career, when I got to 500 goals, I'm like, man, that's a good number. Then you start seeing names. But I think the defining moment for me was, I think I was at like a 540 goals. I had an interview and someone asked me, "Hey, you're 2 goals." I think I was 2 goals away from the Rocket Richard, whatever the number.
Yeah.
And he asked me, "How does it feel?" And then the Rocket Richard growing up was Babe Ruth for us.
Right.
So I was like, it really humbled me. I'm like, there's no way I should pass the Rocket Richard.
Wow.
So that was probably, those were the little moments I was like, oh, that's special. Yeah.
What do you consider your legacy in the NHL? Because you've been a Hall of Famer on the ice and off the ice now.
I don't know.
Or what do you want your legacy to be? How about that?
A guy that obviously enjoyed what he did, was a good teammate, and then try to get better every day. If like, probably the one of the greatest compliment I ever got, I was playing with the Rangers, and I got cut. I went to the bench, they stitched me up, and my eyebrow was over my eye, and I finished the game, and then we ended up losing in a semifinal, and I was at the bar after, and Marc Messier was one of the greatest leader in our game. I was always kind of timid around him because I had so much respect. He looked at me, he goes, "I'd take you on my team anytime." And that was the greatest compliment I've ever gotten as a player from like the ultimate leaders.
Awesome.
And that was like,
I mean, it's
that was pretty
legend.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay, now you are an expat of Canada, right?
Yeah.
An LA resident now. Tell me real quick, what are your favorite parts of LA and what are your favorite things about Los Angeles?
What I love about LA is even though it's a huge city, we all live in our own little pocket. You know, so like I'm in Santa Monica.
Yeah.
And we all know Santa Monica. We walk around Santa Monica, we go hike. Well, before the fire, we go hiking in the hills. And I love that part of everybody in LA. And you can really have a special life. And then when you want something special, you just go outside and it's there.
Yeah.
And I love that part. There's no cities like it. None. I mean, I lived in New York, and New York is special because it's all the downtown. But LA, it's got its own thing. Like for us in Santa Monica, we go to Montana. You go on like 3rd Street, or you go along the beach. But then you want something else, you go to Beverly Hills, or you go in the Valley. It's a whole different feeling, everything. So I love that part of LA, and you really got to live here to understand that.
It's true. That's true. And the very last thing, playoffs start this weekend.
Yeah.
Give me your prognostication. What are we looking for with the Kings? How are we going to do?
Well, for us, like we're ready this year. We talked about bringing an edge to our game last year, so we brought in some guys that have a little bit more of an edge. We're making it hard for teams to play against us, so it's uncomfortable to play against us. So we like that part. Obviously, we're 4 points away from, maybe a couple victories away from getting home ice advantage. Right. We've been really, really good at home this year.
Excellent.
We've been best team in the history of the Kings. So we'd love to get home ice advantage. There's an advantage with that, because, especially if you go to Game 7. Yeah. Game 7 Sunday's at home. Ooh. So from that standpoint, we'd love to get that. And then once we get in, we're healthy. We could beat anyone. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We're in for a good ride.
All right, be ready, Kings fans. Go, Kings, go. This is what it's about. We are so honored to have the legend Luc Robitaille in studio. I can't believe it. I used to collect his hockey cards, man. O-Pee-Chee, early upper deck, the whole deal. Mr. Robitaille, I really thank you so much. Come back anytime. And this is fun, but support the Kings. I mean, from Hockey Hall of Fame to front office legend right here.
Luc Robitaille. We'll do. We'll win the cup, and then we're going to bring it right here. Right? We'll move the book. Okay.
Ooh, that would be awesome. All right. Thank you, Luc. I appreciate you. And all right, LA, it's been a minute.